Listen up, family. 50 Cent just walked into the room with a can of gasoline, a lit match, and Diddy's entire family tree stapled to the wall. And I need you to sit down for this one, because what is about to drop is not a documentary. It is a demolition. Curtis Jackson didn't come to tell a story. He came to bury a legacy, and the shovel he brought has Janice Combs' name carved right into the handle. This is not the sequel anybody was expecting. This is the ending nobody in Sean Combs' camp is ready for. And by the time you finish this breakdown, I promise you will never look at a single Bad Boy Entertainment photograph the same way again. Real quick, before anybody scrolls, Season 2 of Sean Combs, The Reckoning is not going to Netflix. Did you catch that? 50 Cent is bypassing the streamer entirely and dumping the unfiltered cut straight onto YouTube. No standards and practices team. No corporate legal. No sanitized voiceover softening the edges. Raw footage. Never before seen material. Documents that have apparently been sitting in a vault since the Bad Boy Entertainment glory days, and audio interviews with sources whose names have never appeared in a single press release. That is not a strategic pivot. That is a message. And the message is aimed at exactly one person, Diddy's mother. Now let me peel this back with you, because the Whisper Network is telling me something extraordinary about the timing. Diddy's legal team did not send a cease and desist after Season 1 aired. They did not fight the first Netflix drop. They stayed quiet while the entire world watched Cassie's hallway footage on loop and while every network in America ran the surveillance video every 20 minutes for 2 straight weeks. But the very second, word started leaking that Season 2 would focus on Janice Combs and the true financial architecture of Bad Boy, the cease and desist letters started flying like paper airplanes off a rooftop. Threats to Netflix. Demands for retractions. Accusations of stolen footage and defamatory framing. And I have to ask the obvious question. If the first documentary was already devastating, why is the second one suddenly the line that cannot be crossed? Sit with that for a second. Because Diddy's silence on Season 1 told us he could survive Cassie. His panic over Season 2 is telling us he cannot survive his mother. Here is what nobody is telling you about Janice Combs. Everybody has been treating her like the sweet grandmother who stood by her son through his darkest hour. The blonde wigs. The high boots. The maternal defense on camera. He's not a monster. Right. Cute. Very touching. But 50 Cent's footage is about to reframe every single one of those moments because according to the sources speaking in The Reckoning, including Gene Deal, the longtime bodyguard, and an alleged childhood friend of Sean's named Tim Dog Patterson, the woman who raised Sean Combs in Harlem may not have been running a modeling agency at all. Multiple sources in the documentary allege that the so-called modeling agency doubled as something else entirely. Something that operated after hours. Something that entertained drug dealers and athletes and, according to one Georgia-based source who has come forward publicly, high-profile figures whose names still carry weight in New York today. And if those allegations hold up, then the freak-off blueprint the world thought Diddy invented was actually inherited. The son did not innovate the empire. The son continued it. Let that land for a second. Because everybody wants to believe Sean Combs woke up one day, moved to New York from Mount Vernon, and decided all on his own to become the man he became. But the pattern was there from the very beginning. Diddy grew up in a house where, according to Patterson's on-camera testimony, adult parties bled into the living room, doors were rarely closed, and the young Sean was, as Patterson put it verbatim, privy to what was happening. That is not a childhood. That is a curriculum. And Janice Combs, according to 50 Cent sources, was the professor writing the syllabus. Now here is where it gets absolutely surgical. Gene Deal, the man who spent years running Diddy's security detail, the man who was inside the rooms when the actual power moves happened, is on the record describing behavior between mother and son that most people would not describe about any relative. Public displays of physical affection that raised eyebrows in the room. A moment on camera where Sean bragged that his elderly mother could still bend forward at the waist and place her palms flat on the floor while standing straight up. A shared 4-drip session on a couch, allegedly filmed after one of the parties that has since become the centerpiece of a federal indictment. And the fingernail polish. That is the detail that stopped Gene Deal cold. The same white polish that Cassie Ventura described in her civil complaint as Diddy's preferred aesthetic on the women in his orbit, Janice Combs was wearing that exact same shade too. Track this with me. If Cassie's complaint tells us anything about Diddy's obsessions, then the visual echo in his mother's grooming choices is not a coincidence. It is a pattern. And 50 Cent has the footage that makes you look at it whether you want to or not. But hold up, because the Shadow Empire piece is where this documentary gets truly explosive. 50 Cent's investigators combed through the corporate paperwork of Bad Boy Entertainment, and what they found rewrites everything we thought we knew about who actually owned the throne. Sean Combs is the face. Sean Combs is the brand. Sean Combs is the name on every magazine cover from 1997 to the day the feds walked into his Miami mansion in the fall of 2024. But according to the documents 50 Cent is about to release, Sean Combs is not the owner. Janice Combs is. The label's assets. The publishing catalog. The core rights. The masters. All of it allegedly funnels back to a corporate structure with Mother Combs sitting at the top like the queen on a chessboard. Sean signs the paperwork on the dotted line. Sean gets the magazine covers. But if a plaintiff ever tries to seize the assets, the trail ends at Janice. And that family is not an accident. That is a defensive moat that was built decades ago with legal precision. Why? Peep this. On December 28, 1991, a young Sean Combs and the rapper Heavy D co-hosted a celebrity charity basketball game at the gymnasium of the City College of New York. The building was catastrophically oversold. The doors at the bottom of the staircase opened inward, not outward. The crowd surged forward when word spread that LL Cool J and Mike Tyson had already entered through a back door. And 9 people died in that stairwell. 9 families. 9 wrongful death lawsuits. And Gene Deal, the man who was supposed to be running exterior security that night with 18 men and trained dogs, says on the record that Diddy pulled his team off the perimeter the day before the event. The gates never went up. The dogs never arrived. The barrier that would have prevented the surge was never installed. 9 people were crushed to death against a locked interior door. And when the lawsuits came flooding in, the corporate architecture that shielded Sean Combs from personal liability was not built by accident either. It was built by his mother. That is not maternal love. That is legal engineering at the highest possible level. And now, decades later, that same shield is being redeployed to protect the empire from the criminal fallout of the freak-off era. Moving on, because there is a new player in the circus, and the timing could not be more suspicious. Diddy's sons, Justin Combs and Christian King Combs, just dropped a trailer for their own documentary on the Zeus network. Same beat. Different family. The trailer opens with the boys sitting on a couch in a screening room, headlines about their father scrolling behind them like the closing credits of a movie, and a collect call from Fort Dix Federal Correctional Institute lighting up Justin's phone at the very end of the clip. Their father, calling in from federal prison, ready to narrate his own redemption arc from behind the wall. Release date? Sometime in 2026. And the reactions online have been, how do I put this diplomatically, bottom shelf energy from top to bottom. Fans are not buying it. Commentators are not buying it. Even people who defended Sean throughout the trial are shaking their heads at this rollout. Because everyone remembers what happened during the federal trial. Christian showed up to the courtroom wearing a Free Sean Combs t-shirt while the witness known as Jane was on the stand giving testimony. The judge threw him out. A week later, Justin walked in wearing the exact same shirt. The judge threw him out too. And in 50 Cent's footage, there's a scene where Diddy is telling Justin directly to push out specific content designed to control the narrative on social media. That is not a father giving fatherly advice. That is a media strategy being run out of a federal correctional facility. And 50 Cent, being the same man who buried Ja Rule with a single mixtape run 20 years ago, did not let that Zeus trailer sit for even an hour before he pounced. He reposted it on his Instagram with the caption, "Wow, I want to see this show. I'm not sure this was a good idea." And then he tagged his own production company. The message underneath the smirk is unmistakable to anybody who has watched Curtis Jackson operate. Whatever the Combs family releases in 2026, 50 Cent already has the counter-narrative loaded, edited, and pointed at the same audience. This is not a documentary war anymore. This is a media theater of operations. And only one side has the archival footage. Drop what you are hearing in the comments about this next part, because it is where the whole thing collapses into something almost tragic. Janice Combs, faced with 50 Cent's allegations, has issued exactly one public statement in response. She told Deadline the documentary contains inaccuracies about her son's upbringing and family life that were intentionally done to mislead viewers and to further harm our reputation. She denied being an escort. She denied that Diddy ever slapped her, as the documentary alleges. She defended the family. And this is the part one need you to focus on with everything you've got, she stopped talking. No lawsuit against Netflix. No lawsuit against 50 Cent. No lawsuit against Alex Stapleton, the director. No cease and desist from Janice's own lawyers. Nothing. If somebody made up a story that horrific about your family, wouldn't you sue them into the ground until every last penny of Netflix's legal budget was on your kitchen table? The silence from Janice Combs and her legal team is louder than any statement she could have made. It is telling us that whatever 50 Cent has on tape, on paper, on video, is defensible in a courtroom. And that is a terrifying place for the Combs family to be sitting right now, because it means the discovery process would end them before the trial even started. Here is the tension nobody is talking about. Diddy still thinks he is going to walk. Word coming out of Fort Dix is that Sean Combs is spending his days working the appeals process, working the pardon lobby, and telling anyone within earshot that he will be back on the outside long before the end of his current 50-month sentence. He has been running the same playbook that worked for him for 30 years. Control the media, control the message, control the room. But the room has changed under his feet. The media is not his anymore. 50 Cent owns the message. And the pardon lobby he is banking on has already snubbed him publicly on more than one occasion. He was left off the last presidential clemency list without so much as a courtesy call. His lawyers had publicly implied a pardon was imminent. It wasn't. And now the Whisper Network out of Fort Dix is telling me that the man is not handling any of this well. He is described as agitated. He is described as convinced he has been treated unfairly by a system that never should have caught him. He is described as unable to accept that he is not the king of the room anymore, that the phone he used to pick up and control an industry no longer connects to anybody who can help him. Meanwhile, Curtis, 50 Cent, Jackson sat down with Robin Roberts on national television, calm as a Sunday morning in July, and delivered the line that should terrify Sean Combs more than any indictment ever did. Roberts asked whether the documentary was really about giving victims a platform or whether it was about 50 Cent's personal disdain for Diddy, the beef that everyone remembers, the diss tracks, the 20 years of Instagram jabs. And 50 Cent looked at her, took a breath, and said, "It's not personal." 4 words. No smirk. No hostility. No wink at the camera. Just a flat, professional denial that unlocked the entire strategy behind the reckoning in one sentence. Because if it is not personal for 50 Cent, then this is not a feud. This is journalism. And journalism does not stop after one season. Journalism keeps digging. Alex Stapleton, the director of The Reckoning, backed him up on the record when Robin Roberts pressed her. She confirmed that the footage was obtained legally, that all rights had been secured, and that Netflix would not be pulling anything despite the cease and desist letters piling up on their legal desk in Los Angeles. Translation? Bring the lawsuit. We will see you in discovery. And Diddy's team, for all its bluster, understands exactly what discovery would look like right now. Discovery would mean depositions. Depositions would mean Gene Deal on a stand under oath. Gene Deal on a stand would mean the City College stampede laid out in painful detail, the security dismissal the night before, the fingernail polish, the 4 drips, the mother-son dynamic that Gene has been describing publicly for years. And every unspoken thing Bad Boy Entertainment has spent 30 years burying under NDAs and cash settlements. That is why the cease and desist letters are being drafted, but no actual lawsuit has been filed. Because the moment Diddy's team sues, the moment they open that courtroom door, everything Janice Combs has been protecting for 4 decades walks out into the daylight in front of a jury. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. The Sun's document dump on Zeus is not going to save any of them. Because the audience has already turned. The trial testimony poisoned the well. Cassie's video poisoned the well. The federal transfer to Fort Dix poisoned the well. The conviction on the Mann Act charges poisoned the well. And every attempt by the Combs family to release counter-content only reinforces the perception that they are running damage control instead of running an empire anymore. Justin and Christian sitting on a couch in a screening room with their father calling in from a federal correctional facility is not a comeback story. It is a hostage tape with better lighting and a Zeus Network logo. You want to know how I really feel about all this? I think Janice Combs is the actual center of gravity in this entire story, and I think 50 Cent knows it, and I think that is the exact reason Season 2 is going straight to YouTube instead of Netflix. Because Netflix has broadcast standards that would have forced 50 Cent to soften some of the accusations against Sean's mother, to add legal disclaimers, to trim the sharpest moments in edit. YouTube does not. YouTube lets him publish the raw footage, name the names, drop the documents, and dare the Combs family to sue him in open court. And the Combs family, based on everything we have seen from Janice's carefully worded deadline statement, does not have the legal appetite for that fight. Because a fight would mean discovery, and discovery would finish them. So here's where we are, real talk. Sean Diddy Combs is at Fort Dix, serving 50 months on prostitution-related convictions under the Mann Act, watching from a prison television as his empire is dissected in prime time by the one man he never took seriously. His mother is issuing careful denials, but refusing to sue. His sons are launching a Zeus network documentary that already feels like a public relations Hail Mary thrown from midfield with no receivers open. His lawyers are firing cease and desist letters that have zero legal teeth because they know discovery is a nuclear button they cannot afford to press. And 50 Cent, the man Diddy dismissed as a rival for 2 entire decades, is holding the archive, the footage, the sources, the platform, and the momentum. This is not a media beef anymore. This is a coronation. And Curtis Jackson is being crowned in real time on the same YouTube algorithm that used to belong to Sean Combs' publicists. Now here is the meta loop I want you to sit with, and I want you to sit with it hard. If Season 2 of The Reckoning on YouTube is going to focus on Janice Combs and the financial architecture of bad boy entertainment, then what does Season 3 look like? Because 50 Cent is not a man who runs out of ammunition. He has been quietly collecting this material since the Ja Rule era. He has sources in every corner of the industry that Diddy ever offended, and Diddy offended a lot of corners. There are executives at Universal. There are former bad boy artists who signed development deals and then vanished. There are choreographers, stylists, security personnel, chefs, party organizers, drivers, personal assistants, and hotel staff. Every single one of them saw something. Every single one of them signed something. And 50 Cent has been methodically acquiring their stories for years, waiting for the exact moment the industry would finally listen. If I had to make a prediction, and you know I love a dated prediction, because a prediction with a date attached is either a prophecy or an embarrassment, and there is no middle ground, I would tell you that by the spring of 2027, we will not just be talking about Sean Combs and his mother. We will be talking about the entire network of enablers who let this empire operate for 3 decades without a serious investigation. The publicists who buried the stories. The journalists who accepted the invitations and looked the other way. The politicians who took the campaign donations without asking where the money came from. The record executives who signed off on the parties and pretended the aftermath was nobody's business. That is not a docuseries. That is a reckoning with a capital R in the truest sense of the word. And 50 Cent is the one holding the pen. But hear me out, because there is a version of this story where Diddy fights back and everything I just said gets rewritten. He has money. He has lawyers. He has surviving relationships in the industry, and he has 30 years of blackmail tier knowledge on people who cannot afford to see him break. If the appeals process delivers even a partial reversal on the Mann Act convictions, if a presidential pardon materializes on the 2027 clemency list, if the sons manage to launder the family image through the Zeus documentary and reach even a fraction of the audience 50 Cent has locked in, the calculus flips completely. And Sean Combs is one of the most dangerous men in American entertainment for a reason that everybody keeps forgetting. He does not go quietly. He never has. So do not close the book yet, family, because the last chapter has not been written. Track this with me. The next 90 days are going to be decisive for every single person named in the story. Season 2 of The Reckoning is going to drop on YouTube. The Zeus documentary from Justin and Christian is going to drop in early 2026. Diddy's next appeal filing is on the calendar. And Janice Combs is going to have to make a choice: sue Netflix, sue 50 Cent, or stay silent forever and let the record stand. Every single one of those events is a fuse. And they're all connected to the same bomb. So drop what you are hearing about all of this in the comments below, because I know some of you have sources I do not have, and I want the full picture before I record the next breakdown. Tell me honestly, do you think Janice Combs is going to sue Netflix, or is she going to stay quiet? Do you think Diddy walks free before 2028? Do you think the Sun's Zeus documentary changes anything, or is it going to make the situation worse? I am reading every single response, and I am building the next video around what you say. Because this story is not slowing down. It is accelerating. And the next chapter of Sean Combs, The Reckoning, is not just going to expose Sean Combs. It is going to expose everybody who profited from pretending he was something he was not. Bookmark this channel, hit that subscribe button, turn the notifications on. Season 2 is coming, and when it drops, you're going to want to be in the room where the receipts finally get read out loud. See you at the next revelation.